All right, well, welcome everybody. My name is Anne-Marie Murphy. I'm a professor at Seton Hall University and a founding partner of the New York Southeast Asian Network that is sponsoring this talk today. I'm delighted that so many of you are here in person, and thank you everyone for joining us at home. We are here for a fascinating talk with a Thai scholar who almost needs no introduction. Pavin Chachavalpongpun is a leading scholar not only of Thai politics, but also of Thai foreign policy. He is a professor at Kyoto University, where he edits the Southeast Asia Review there, which, in contrast to many journals, is actually published not only in English and Japanese, but in Thai and Indonesian and Burmese. As a scholar, his most recent book is the 10th, the Thai Modesty, which was banned even before it was published in Thailand. As many of you know, Pavin is not only a scholar, he is also an political activist. And for that, he has been banned from Thailand since 2014. So today, he is going to give us a talk called Triple Trouble in Thailand, and he will discuss some of the momentous political events that occurred in August. These were the dissolution of the Pro-Reform Move Forward Party. This was also the leveling of new charges against Thaksin Shinawatra. And it was the resignation forced of the Prime Minister Srettha and the replacement with Thaksin's daughter, Paethongtarn. So there is a lot to cover, and with no further ado, I will turn it over to Pavin.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie, and nice to see you again. And thank you, John.
He'll be up in a minute.
And thank you, NYU, of course, for inviting me to give a talk today. I just think basically, what I will speak today is just to give you an update of what has happened in Thailand, maybe since the election of 2023. When we came up with the title Triple Trouble, that was when we started to talk about this talk in August. And in that particular month, indeed, there was sorts of triple trouble happening in Thailand, and I thought that this could be a key moment to sort of pick it up, and then I might be able to speak here. But then again, we have so many key moments in Thailand, almost like many times in a year, so it's very difficult to pick which one is really the key one. But anyway, so as I said, maybe the attempt today. I will not claim to give you anything new, but at least to give you an update of what has been ongoing in Thailand. There have been some changes. In fact, I mean, to be able to talk about the election of 2023, I might want to bring you back a little bit into sort of the year 2020, which is another key moment in Thailand. From that point onward, in 2020, at the beginning of the year, there was a big issue in Thailand, the dissolution of Future Forward Party. Who would have thought that then again, there was another dissolution of the same party, but a new name under Move Forward Party, right, which has happened in August. I don't know whether there would be another dissolution of this same party now. It's become Phak Prachachon, right, or the People's Party. Someone told me that they intended to use this English translation of the People's Party in order to resonate with the same name of the revolutionists of 1932. So, but the Thai names basically different, but the English name the same. The Thai name for that one is Khana Rat. So this one is Phak Prachachon, but the People's Party. Back in 2020, okay, the dissolution of Future Forward Party, the outbreak of coronavirus, the abduction of Thai dissident in Phnom Penh, Wan Chalerm, and a lot of people already forgot about that event. As an academic and as someone who also work on activism, I would like to bring this up every now and then to remind us of this tragic incident. And in fact, it has, I think, represent one of the factors behind the return of the street protest. The street protest came in February after the dissolution of the Future Front Party, and then it came back again in June. Partly Wan Chalerm sort of, inspired the younger generation to come on the street to call for justice. And then, obviously, 2020 youth protest. It is so important. It is so important because this is the first time that the monarchy, which has long been an off-limit topic in Thailand, has been made a public agenda. So, to follow with this call for reform of the monarchy, we started to see the rise of lèse-majesté cases in Thailand. So, lèse-majesté cases had long been, ongoing. It started to rise sort of gradually after 2006, the coup that overthrew Thaksin. But from 2014, it started to climb up so quickly. And then from 2020, it just basically outrageous. The current statistic up until from 2020 up until May this year, we had more than 300 cases of people being prosecuted under lèse-majesté, and the majority of them basically Thai youth. Okay. So basically, from that point until the election of 2020, right? We can make a quick summary. The conservative elites in Thailand basically continue to resist change because of all the Future Front Party proposed. I have not even spoke about it, the agenda of the Future Front Party, but basically to call for reform of the key institution of Thailand with the protest of the youth and the lèse-majesté cases. Nothing has changed from 2020. So once again, this is my own observation that the conservative elite, despite the call from political faction and also from the youth movement, they continue to resist change. Then we talk about the election of 2023. What were the development? Okay. Now, after the dissolution of Future Front Party, then came the Move Forward Party. Move Forward Party it only took them 3 years until they won the election in 2023, and they came first. I look at the result. On one hand, I thought, I was surprised, right, for a young party. And 3 years before it was dissolved. And you have to understand, how political party in Thailand work as well. That most of the parties, you have to have sort of political connection. You have to have, money, network, in order to run political party. But we must say that, Future Front Party, basically, this is quite a different kind of political party, quite organic in the sense that, mostly based on people network more than anything. So yeah, I was quite surprised that the party came first. But on the other hand, I thought, maybe looking at what had happened since 2020, maybe I should not be too surprised of how Thai politics has moved forward. The Move Forward Party entered the election in 2023, and it was so successful. It was successful mainly because this party is the only party that proposed something quite unique, even though it is really needed in Thailand right now. It's basically to propose for fundamental changes, right? When I say fundamental changes, this also, all the changes we talk about reform of the key institution, including the reform of the army. The party might not speak directly about the reform of the monarchy, due to the lèse-majesté law. But the party did touch upon the reform of Article 112. Now, I mean, the two topics for me, basically, these are inseparable. You cannot talk about the reform of Article 112 without talking about the issue of the monarchy. So in some way, indirectly, the party basically hint that there has to be a change with the royal institution. And then other social and political critical issues that the party has proposed. Why, at this point in time, fundamental changes has become such key platform and basically led this party to the electoral victory. Because it's happened also that the call for fundamental changes responded well with the call from the youth as well. Youth movement. It's almost the two things happened at the same time. So it's happened that the people who went on the street in 2020 basically look for the same thing. And it's happened that the party was able to offer something that the kids or the Thai youth basically were looking for. These were, once again, reform of key institutions. So the other one is, this might be a minor point, we can talk about during the Q&A, is the role of social media. And the role of social media go everywhere, at this particular point in Thai politics. I'm talking about the success of the Movement Party also because of the use of social media that allow them to gain a lot of support from the people. And I mean even the youth movement also use social media as well, for their political activism. Now talking about Movement Party, then we move on to youth movement or the new generation. Obviously, it has been a generational shift in Thailand. Basically, this generation is very much different from, at least my generation. I can't claim to be, with this. In Thailand, we're supposed to say, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, right? I think we are talking about Gen Z here. Why Gen Z at this point, once again, are calling for such fundamental changes when it never happened during the previous generation? I can think about a few factors. I think partly because the young generation today, if we imagine that they are in their early 20s, this generation really basically out of both the peak of the monarchy in Thailand and even the peak of Thaksin Shinawatra. You have to talk about the two things at the same time. This means that this generation basically has grown up without so much baggage. Unlike again my generation, I remember very well. When I went through school, at work, in family, every single day, you come across this kind of you can say propaganda, or you just can say basically the full functioning of the royal institution. Why it has to be royal institution? Because it has been a key institution. And we talk about Thai politics, we have to talk about Thai monarchy. So they grew up without, without that kind of royal propaganda, out of the peak of the Bhumipol era. So I think to me, it also gave them new kind of perception when they look at Thai politics, which might not be so much on the need to sort of such reverence or respect for the monarchy. So I think this could also explain why, they're willing to call for the reform of the monarchy as well. The Thaksin factor. Thaksin came in 2001. He was overthrown in 2006. After that, he was sort of, pulling the string from Dubai. But I like to think that his influence started to decline. Once again, the Thai youth today, back then, just basically, such little kids, so they do not have sort of recollection of the heydays of the Thaksin era. So this is also representing one of the reasons why a lot of new generation, a lot of them did not vote for the Pheu Thai party, because once again they did not have any kind of connection with Thaksin. And also I think this had a lot to do with the last year, at least, when Thaksin started to spiritually come back to Thailand through Clubhouse prior to the election, even though Thaksin was in Dubai. So he appeared regularly on Clubhouse for his chat show talk, and then basically to help with the election for the Pheu Thai party. But during the talk, obviously, Thaksin sort of hinted that what he has wanted is basically, the status quo, and also to reconcile with the royal institution. So that's why, you can see the position of the Pheu Thai party and the Thaksin very different from the Movement party. The election of 2023, we have the winning party, the Movement party. Came second, basically the Pheu Thai party. We hope that the two parties known to voter to be sort of on the pro-democracy side will basically join hands and then form a kind of coalition government. But in fact, it was not the case. Right after the election, immediately you started to see that the Movement party, started to be isolated. And the reason for being isolated because of the party election victory, and the tool for the conservative elite in alienating the Movement party, basically they use the issue of lèse-majesté law to delegitimize the party. But they also use different kind of tool in order to prevent the party from gaining that access, to form a government. And I think this is very interesting. The conservative elite in the past, we know that they never interested in investing in electoral politics, because they knew that they could not control the result of the electoral politics, right? They usually would go for the coup, because they know that they get what they want, the coup. And I think this day they turn to judicial coup with the hand of the Constitutional Court. But anyway, once again, this election in 2023 sort of reconfirmed their belief that they still could not control the election anyway, because the Movement party sort of won the election. So this time they used the hand of the Senate, right? And then came up with the proportion that you have to gain sort of 2/3 of the combined vote of the upper house and lower house. And obviously no one would vote for the Movement party. Once again, because of they use the issue of lèse-majesté law, to prevent them. The second one, they use, I think, the political party tactic. So if you look closely again, after the election, all the party except the Movement party sort of started to come together, and then basically make a pact, right? Then when they did that, immediately the Movement party sort of did not have enough vote in parliament in order to form the government. So they used this tactic in bringing the Pheu Thai party together with other smaller party, so that to once again prevent the Movement party to come up with a coalition government. The third one is basically to cooperate with the Pheu Thai party. And when I say that, I mean the conservative elite, and also to pave the way for Thaksin coming home. Thaksin coming home had been, I think, stayed, for such a long time. I have a lot of privileges to interview Thaksin several times in the past, and during this interview, Thaksin sort of said it all the time that one key objective for him is basically to come home, and basically just to redeem, what he lost. Yeah, I think the idea of Thaksin coming home has already been in his mind. So I think at this particular point, everything just fell into places where basically quite perfectly for the conservative elite and for Thaksin. It happened that we have movement party. We have moved party which has posed a threat not only to the conservative elite, but also posing a threat to Thaksin as well. So suddenly the movement party became such a big competitor, in the election. Thaksin must have been aware that this is going to be a big fight, because from 2001 at least until 2019, Thaksin party has won every election except the last election. So immediately, yes, it became a big contender, the movement party, big contender for the Pheu Thai party. And for the conservative elite, definitely the idea of proposing key reform of the key institution of Thailand is a biggest threat, to the conservative elite, in particular to the monarchy. I think they look at the MOVE party as a bigger threat than Thaksin threat in the past. Because I think in the past, Thaksin might be able to win hearts and minds of the poor. But I don't think Thaksin, went a step further by proposing a kind of reform the monarchy. So, but this is something very different, on the part of the movement party. So that's why, from the viewpoint of the Pheu Thai and the conservative elite, they have common enemy in the movement party. So that when I believe that there was a deal between Thaksin coming home and the elite. The deal, I think, would not only extend to allow Thaksin to come home, but also to allow the Pheu Thai to be the leading party to form the government. Thaksin coming home, this is something quite interesting as well. Thaksin coming home, and immediately there were charges pending against him, right? Shortly after going into prison, then Thaksin suddenly fell sick and then had to be hospitalized. Even though before he came home, he had sort of medical checkup and everything went well. Basically, everyone know that he got such a privilege. Basically, people know that if you want to call this amnesty, it's sort of a kind of tailor-made amnesty. It's something to do with such a privileged amnesty. So that again, I think is part of a deal that Thaksin had made with the conservative elite. A footnote here also. We also have to talk about, and where is the monarchy in sort of this deal, right? It might be difficult to talk about, the connection because we don't have evidence. My only observation is that controversial figure like Thaksin be able to come home without the approval of the palace, I think for me is unimaginable, right? And I mean, all sort of things, including, we have another well-known politician in exile for many years, Chachavalpongpun, also recently coming home. I like to think also that, this has to be approved by the Thai palace as well. So even though, we don't have evidence, but what are we seeing in Thai public? It is quite obvious that there have been a sort of cooperation between Thaksin and the conservative elite. And the rest, we know that we have the new government being put in place under Srettha Thavisin. We'll talk about Srettha in a minute. The last one coming out of the election, I have to mention a little bit, is a bit basically, once again, lèse-majesté cases. From 2020, even after 2023, when we have new government under Pheu Thai party, the arrest of people charged with lèse-majesté continue. I mean, this is quite shocking as well, because we thought that under the new government of Pheu Thai, once again, Pheu Thai, used to be supporter of the reform of Michael Government too. Given that Thaksin himself has been charged under lèse-majesté, and I mean, there is one case pending against him too, right? So, the part of a deal, not only to allow Thaksin to come home, to alienate the Pheu Thai, the movement party, and to set up Pheu Thai-led government, is basically for this coalition government not to talk about the reform of Article 1. And to further confirm this, the Constitutional Court came out with a verdict that any political party proposing reform of Article 1 could be interpreted as overthrowing the monarchy. So I mean, this is such a big thing in Thailand. So we really don't know that what will be the next direction when it comes to reform of Article 1 and reform of the monarchy, because it suddenly seemed like this important issue, all the important avenue sort of have been closed down, especially when we talk about political process, to talk about this important issue. New government under Srettha, I really don't have anything much to say, because I don't think Srettha did much either. I really did not know what was the main goal of the previous government. I think the Prime Minister himself did not know what he was doing. Of course, he might not know what he was doing, because basically Thaksin was pulling the string. Surely, yeah. I still could not figure out also why it led to the point of Srettha being ordered to step down just because he promoted a cabinet minister who is basically eligible. I would like to think that you have to come up with a reason. Maybe they just want to change a figurehead in order to try to build up a new image of the government, because basically Srettha did not deliver anything, or basically just sort of giving poor performance throughout the past year. In August, then we have the triple trouble with the dissolution of the movement party. It's come to a point that the Constitutional Court decided to dissolve the party by using once again lèse-majesté. So lèse-majesté has remained central to the Thai political problem. It was the issue that disallowed the party to form the government. It is the same issue that basically led to the dissolution of the party, and we still don't know again what would be the future of the new party. There have been talks in Bangkok that there were 40 members of the party sort of giving signed petition for the reform of the government. So I have heard that they might want to sort of pursue or move forward with criminal charges against these 40 members of the former movement party. So I think basically the aim here is just basically to eliminate, once and for all, the movement party. Srettha stepping down, and then with the coming of Paethongtarn as Prime Minister. Right. I'll just spend 10 minutes and I'll start. Okay. When I talk about the development from 2020, I gave a quick summary of the conservative elite continue to resist change. Now, after 1 year of Srettha government and what had happened after the election, this is another quick summary. It might be the same kind of summary. Basically, Thailand has gone back to the old kind of politics, right? Sort of coalition. You have mix of political party, sharing the same platform with the endorsement of the conservative elite or the royal institution / the military, and this time also the court. I don't even have time to talk about the role of the army here, but the court we also have to touch upon, because the court has been a main political actor in Thailand for more than 2 decades. You can go back as far as 2008 when the Constitutional Court, ordered the resignation of Samak Sutharavet in 2008. Samak also a nominee of Thaksin leading the People's Power Party. Then the resignation of Somchai Wongsavat, another leader of the People's Power Party, and Thaksin brother-in-law. Then impeached Yingluck in 2014. Then the court dissolved the Future for Party and then Move for Party. So you can see the role of the Constitutional Court as a kind of political intervention. I think during the Bhumipol era, King Bhumipol himself, I think he nominated himself to be a kind of political referee, and I think he played the role quite well. But I'm not sure whether I approve that role or not. But I must say that he played the role quite well. You can imagine that whenever Thailand encounter political crisis, right, and when we could not find the solution to such crisis, King Bhumipol usually will step in and basically that's it done. The king just intervened and done. So if you can recall the protest, the Black May of 1992, and that famous footage of the king and the two sides sitting on the floor. So yeah, I think that is a piece of the role of the king as national political referee. But King Bhumipol has gone, and his son Vajiralongkorn could not play the same role for the obvious reason. For the reason that he has no charisma of his father, he also has no sort of moral authority. That when the court, the judiciary step in and play a role once Bhumipol played as political referee. So I think in the last 2 decades, it has been the court, the judiciary in Thailand that has been playing this role up until today. There's a book, by Nakako on why the Thai judiciary kept, stepping up to play this role, and it traced sort of, this profession in particular, why people in this profession turn out to be such royalists. So this is just basically the point that we can discuss a bit later. But basically, I just want to highlight the role of the judiciary Thai politics at this point. Very quickly to end this talk. 2 small points. One point is about the new Prime Minister. Again, it's just I don't know what else to say. She just arrived here for like 2 months. This is a kind of dynastic politics, but again, it's not unique to Thailand. It's quite common in Southeast Asia, right? Who is she? Well, she's the youngest daughter. That's it. That's about it. Even though I think she has been with her father for so long, especially while he has been in exile, right? I like to think that she might sort of get some kind of political sense and might be able to show a kind of political leadership, right? But I have not seen it. Okay, maybe it's a bit too soon to judge, right? Because she's just been here for a few months. But yeah, I will wait and see whether eventually, her kind of political leadership would shine through. But I doubt. One thing I don't doubt, she's a puppet. She's a puppet to both her dad and also to the conservative elites, right? You can say hostage, maybe that is a word. To be puppet of her dad, this is something very interesting as well, because people talk so much that, oh my God, yeah, basically Thaksin is a real prime minister. Thaksin then quickly told the media that no. I do not influence her, but I own her. So I'm confused. I'm confused because the 2 words basically in Thai are quite similar, but yet very different, right? He tried to say, I'm not influencing her. I'm not crop-crong her. But I'm not crop-ngam her. Yeah, I really confuse myself. I'm not crop-ngam her. Crop-ngam means influencing. But I crop-crong her. I own her. Basically, he just want to say that I'm just a dad, right? But the way that he sort of convey his message make it worse. So no matter what word, but basically, yes, I think she's a puppet. Yeah, it just basically working on behalf of the father, working on behalf of the conservative elite. The hostage, in this sense, is just basically, even Thaksin today, even if he got the deal, I don't think that his position is safe. Right? I don't think so. And the deal could be broken anytime, right? I think Thaksin should have known well enough, with once again, all the cases pending against him, including lèse-majesté, something like that. So I think they are working on sort of, eggshell, so things could go wrong anytime. This government under Paethongtarn, I don't think I'll see a lot of changes from Srettha, in the sense that the government do not plan to disrupt once again the status quo. They will not talk about critical issue, including the reform of key institutions, right? What would be an important question which I may not have an answer here, and which we might be able to talk about during the Q&A. I have not seen response from the younger generation vis-a-vis the Paethongtarn government yet. I don't know how Pheu Thai today can come back to become prominent once again, or is it really the party really on the way out? I do not see how the deal between Thaksin and the monarchy could last. All sort of questions, which I may not be able to find the answer here, and it has a lot to do with the current government as well. Last point, just 1 or 2 minutes. Coming this far, we have to talk about the monarchy. Why not? So, yeah, the monarchy has always been there, and just when you think that walking through the protest, just to say that this was the important protest because it brought up the issue of the monarchy. Today, I think there has been little changes within the royal institution. One thing is that the monarchy has never responded to the call from the younger generation. So 10 demand that the kids propose for the reform. There's no sign. There's no response from the palace whatsoever. The king moved back to Thailand, right, and sort of manage family affairs to make it a little bit more normal. In the past, he would go out and about, sort of, in a threesome relationship. This day, it looked a little bit more normalized, which again is a good thing because that's one less thing for people to talk about. Yeah. But the monarchy continues to actively engage in politics. I like to think that this kind of the idea of what happened after the election, the treatment against the movement party, the role of the constitutional court, it had a lot to do with the monarchy. So again, you can make this kind of connection that whatever happened in Thailand from the election 2020, you can always trace back to some kind of there has to be a role or an involvement of the royal institution in whatever happened from that point from the election 2023. The king came out to endorse Paethongtarn, and he gave a very interesting speech. He said that I have trust in this government, right? Since we have trust in the Shinawatra family, so he said I have trust in this family. Oh no, sorry, in this government, and this trust will stay forever. Something like that. He said something. So you don't even have to read between the lines. I just think the statement of the king on that day quite interesting. That's it really. So I'll end with that. There is a little point about Thailand and the international allies, right? We often end with foreign affairs. I keep that during Q&A. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, that was what I was looking for. Thank you very much. Well, you certainly gave us a lot of food for thought. I guess I wanted to follow up. For those of you at home, please put your questions in the Q&A box and I will try to get to them. I wanted to follow up on, my Thai pronunciation is really bad. Paethongtarn's appointment. I mean, I've read different theories about this, right? I mean, on the one hand, one analysis is, oh, Thaksin, has got his daughter in there. Now he is closer to the seat of power. That is something that he wanted. On the other hand, as you know, there's another theory, right? That heck, given that her aunt was, thrown out of power, as was Samsak and so many of these other people, you don't want to put your young daughter in that prime minister position because you make her a target. And as you know, particularly with the lèse-majesté charge against Thaksin, she is the hostage so that he does what the conservatives want. So can you expand a little bit on your sense of exactly why Srettha was pushed out, why there was apparently no other person acceptable for the prime ministership? Because one theory I read was that there was really nobody else who was palatable to the powers that be. So how did this all come about?
Thank you. I'm sorry for my voice. My throat really bad today. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a debate about the choice of Paethongtarn. I'm not so convinced about the first choice of nominating the daughter, so that this is a kind of a reflection of a better relationship that Thaksin sort of trust the palace enough to push daughter. I don't think I buy that argument. I would agree with the second one, right? Thaksin, again, that's the I said, Thaksin should have known better what happened to him and what happened to Yingluck, right? I think it's a bit cruel, to put the daughter in that position. Seriously, it's so cruel. But then again, this question came up all the time. And I remember once again, when I interviewed him, I asked him more than 5 times about the next generation in the Pheu Thai party. And I did not just ask last year, I asked every time I met him. So throughout the periods of 10 years, Thaksin only had one answer. And the answer can be very, very selfish. Basically that I can't trust anyone, right? No, I really cannot trust anyone. But I don't think he really, this is not even a secret for him. I think he told a lot of people that, but I said, don't you run out people in your family, right? You can't just nominate anyone in your family. So he just laughed out. He said, but at this point, I really can't trust anyone. So that's why maybe to talk about Paethongtarn, it could come back to the issue of, the lack of leadership within the Pheu Thai party. You can't see anyone. Partly it's Thaksin's fault because Thaksin has never really promoted anyone. It's very clientele, sort of clientelism, so that you have to be so close to Thaksin. You have to be so close to the inner circle of the Pheu Thai party that you would be offered, ministerial position. So, or if you do not bring enough fund, or if you can't win big in your constituency, you know what I mean? There are different sort of hierarchy within the party, and once again also because of Thaksin, because Thaksin never really promoted anyone in the family in the party. So that's why, this lack of leadership within the Pheu Thai party, and suddenly Paethongtarn. I think Paethongtarn start to come out just only a few months before Thaksin coming home, basically to be a mouthpiece of her father. So because nobody else could do it, definitely the wife would not want to do it, right? The wife tried to stay out politics. We have no hope with Thaksin's son, right? We mean the Thai people. And it seems like Paethongtarn is most active and key. So once she came out to be sort of personal spokesperson that were of her father, then maybe that would allow her the father to see, or maybe Paethongtarn could be nominated. So that's all, Henry. I don't know what else to say.
Okay. Why don't I open it up to questions? When I call on you, can you please just tell us your name and affiliation, please?
Hi, I'm Pavin Chachavalpongpun. I'm with NYU, but Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Yes, and Swadika, people, I have a question. I have a question for you. Given that since the election, there's a lot of backstabbing, super deal, hidden deal under the table. Now you just said that the king came out and endorsed Paethongtarn. What do you think about the likelihood of the coup? I know this is a very boring question. The likelihood that the coup can happen. What is your thought on this?
These questions never go out of fashion. And you are so impassioned. So that's why you ask the question. Yeah. Well, again, just when we thought that, oh my God, it's just so outdated to talk about military coup. Where would be there would be anywhere on earth, to talk about military coup? Yes, in Thailand. It could still be the case, even though I think that they prefer not to use it, because of the consequences, right? Yeah, they prefer not to do it because they have other instrument to do it. The instrument that I told you, and now mainly is basically the judicial. We have that word judicial coup or the judicialization, right, of politics in Thailand. But I think I see one scenario that could come back. Let's assume that we talk about the next election. Now, for the People's Party to be able to form the next government, they have to win complete landslide, right? Without having to care, the vote from other party, including the upper house, which I think highly possible, given that this party was dissolved twice, right? And the anger that sort of built up among the supporters of the party. So yeah, I think there's a possibility that the party could win landslide in the next election. Well, of course, they could come up. The court could once again dissolve the party. That would be another choice, right? But I do think that the coup could also be a convenient tool. Basically, coming up with this classic justification of we have a political party which just win landslide election, which has been a threat to the monarchy, and as the army, with a primary role of defending the monarchy as equal to defending national security. I'm sorry, we have to stage a coup. So I think for them, it sounds justified, right?
Okay, great, because that was, can I just follow up on one thing? Because obviously in 2023, it was the unelected Senate, right, that really weighed in and kept moving forward out. My understanding is that the Senate's term is over and there will not be that unelected Senate in the next election unless there's some constitutional change. Or how, if at all, would that affect the possibility of a Pachachon?
We have a new set of Senate, right? As much as we thought that this time it would be more transparent, it would be more people-based. It's not, right? Through weird system process in Thailand, so we end up having a lot of representative of the conservative elite going back once again. Yeah, I don't think situation will change much from the previous election. So that's why there has been talk among Thai voters that we have to basically disregard the role of the upper house, totally disregard, and then we also have to sort of disregard other political parties as well, right? In order for the People's Party to win, it has to be total majority. That's all.
Okay. There's a question here.
I'm not sure if 3 questions would be too many.
Why don't we start with one and let other people
Sure.
have an opportunity?
Sure. Okay. Thank you for a very good talk, Pavin. So my name is Wasamon. I'm doing a master's degree at Columbia University. And my question would be that you mentioned about Srettha. He was sacked right last year by the court. And I think you mentioned that it still has not been clear why he was sacked by the reason of promoting like one certain person who was convicted into the important position. And my question is that, do you think that there could be a plan maybe by the third or fourth party, let's say maybe like Pumjai Thai party? Could that be like that, like the third or fourth parties like plan to undermine Pheu Thai, to force Pheu Thai to, like to promote Paethongtarn as a prime minister? And from what I heard from my sources, since I'm a journalist, is that Pheu Thai might not initially plan to promote Paethongtarn as the prime minister, but they had to do so because they had no other choice because Srettha was sacked. So basically my question, it has been the observation like among like journalistic circles in Thailand, but I'm just not sure like what your point of view will be as an academic. Thank you.
But I think of course maybe nobody knows.
Okay.
I mean it could be sort of a kind of speculation, but part of it sort of makes sense. The part that makes sense to me that Pumjai Thai is a party that we have to keep watchful eye. So I think this party in the future would play a role. It's not extremely big, but yet very important, right? It's sort of what can I say? It would make or break government, right? Because it came third in the last election. Let alone the leader of the party, Kun Anuthin, such influential man. I think his party did really well in the Northeast, and he has personal connection with the king, with the photo of the king, him and the king, everywhere. So yeah, I mean, this guy has a connection and very seasoned politician. So, but to the point of the Pumjai Thai wanting to destabilize the Pheu Thai party, I don't know whether it might be. We might stretch it too far. If I were Pumjai Thai, I would want to undermine move for party, on the ground rather than, because I think if the Pheu Thai go, the ship could go, right? Because without Pheu Thai, then I don't think the coalition government could survive. I think it would be too soon for Anuthin to step out. Right. So that's why again it seems like there's a big hole here. Srettha out, yet at the same time, Anuthin could not come out for some reason. Then it has to be Paethongtarn. This could be another way. For Srettha stepping down, once again, I really don't know. Again, looking back, okay, maybe the court might want to be perceived as unfair. Right. Okay, I dissolve the movement party. But look, I'm unfair, Srettha, so there's something wrong. This is to show that I'm not in the same boat with the government, something like that. But I don't know whether this would make sense. But I have no idea. Maybe it's going back to, Srettha could not really deliver, and after a year, the government should have done something more. I think better that way.
Thank you.
Okay, did we have a question here?
Yes. My name is Marcus Brandt. With International IDEA, I lead the Myanmar program. And I spent about half of my time in Thailand during August. I was in Bangkok and attended a number of events and discussions, including one where Duncan McCargo laid out a very interesting theory, saying that describing the current developments as the politics of virtue, and basically explaining how the center of the ownership of virtue had shifted from basically the palace, where it had been for decades, and was always used as a form of legitimizing interventions in politics, to a political party that is just too uncorrupt to even get into the crosshair of the old system. And one of the distinguishing features of the movement party and now the People's Party is that they are just made of a completely different DNA as political parties than the traditional political parties, and that they, in a way, contrast very sharply now from Pheu Thai, which offered itself to be co-opted into the system, whereby Move Forward made it very clear that they're not co-optable. And my question to you is how you see this this dynamic playing out among the Thai public, essentially, of whether what we have just recently seen, Pheu Thai allowing itself to be Thaksin's personal vehicle for returning and for taking partly control of the government. What is the price that he would pay for this among the Thai public in terms of credibility and support, and how can that be picked up by others? And there is the very interesting role that Prime Thai plays, of course, which interestingly managed to gain the majority of the representatives in the Senate, even though they are not formally affiliated with the party, but they're generally considered to be in that camp, which may have something to do with who the Minister of Interior was during the election. But that still is very much an old style political party in Thailand. And my question is whether Thailand as a society has just simply moved on to not playing along anymore into the old style of Thai politics, that the demand, not only among young people, but among the general public, is just too great for the old regime to resist.
I think in some ways this is such a big gamble for Thaksin and Pheu Thai to switch position, to switch alliance and side, right? Today, I think you can describe the Pheu Thai party. We used to describe Pheu Thai party as sort of pro-democracy. I'm quite reluctant to say this one because Thaksin is not only area. But okay. Reflecting on the aspiration of the red shirt, then maybe we can talk about pro-democracy. Just do it like we can make this kind of a bit weird, but pro-democracy. But today I don't think we can describe the Pheu Thai party as pro-democracy anymore. I would like to describe it as sort of neo-conservative. I think Thaksin moved back to becoming conservative, judging from the current policy platform, the party, this and that. So that's why I think it's such a big gamble that Thaksin would eventually lose, a lot of support from the grassroots, from people from the north and the northeast. The election of 2023 are already quite evident. If you look at the color, of the election, you will see a lot of orange, in the north and the northeast, replacing red. So that must have been quite frightening for him as well. I think big gamble, changing the position, and it might be too quick to say. I said anyway that whether the Pheu Thai might be on the way out, possibly, But that's one thing why Thaksin still want to do it, even though this is such a big gamble. And I think it's just simply not just, I want to go home, I want to do it. I think it's just more than that. I think Thaksin realized in the election this time that we don't have to win, but we can access power. Because what matters in 2023, still not the voice of the people. Still power up there. Even if you don't win, I can form a government. I think Thaksin now sort of having this kind of perception, right? So that's why suddenly whatever Thaksin used to talk in the past, pro-poor, people-based, this and that, all gone, right? And it showed that he didn't have to win the election, but he can lead the government. So I think Thai society as a whole, yes, you're right, move away from all kind of politics. And I keep saying, many times, the role of the young generation here. What will happen? the new environment that they had grown up, the better chances, compared with my generation in interacting with the world. Social media might be too small to say, but for this young generation, to be able to see what's happening in the outside world, and then they start to realize that, look, my God, I think maybe it's time for us, to make my own, future. So that's why there's a lot of study coming out, talking about the new kind of perception of the Thai youth, with the new way of looking at power politics, looking at political legitimacy, looking at the issue of accountability and transparency. That's why this younger generation, expect so much from state institutions to perform really well and to be accountable, something like that. Yeah, move on. But the big issue, the big question is that then what else they need to make sure that they can really totally move on. You can't just say, oh, I want to move on, but maybe you can't, you get stuck, right? Because once again, the power machination in Thailand continue to be dominated by state institutions. And it's very difficult, for the society as a whole, to negotiate that way. Yeah.
Can I just maybe tie some of your last statements with the politics of virtue here? When you talk about the younger generation having a new agenda and wanting accountability in all of these quote unquote positive democratic things, is the language used virtue? I mean, is that Duncan's, we all know Duncan very well, he lived here with us in New York for quite some time. Is that him framing it that way, or is that something that people, particularly the younger generation in Thailand, are using themselves to frame their political views and actions?
To be honest, I don't think we speak much, especially from the viewpoint of the younger generation, on the virtue. It could have been how Duncan framed, this particular political context in Thailand, which makes sense, right? Yeah, I don't think we have serious discussion on this issue. I think when I say that, they sort of have more chances to interact with the world, I think this is partly how this new perception of them, came about, and this has become the factor that changed, the energy of the society and the generation that we are living in today. He McCargo wrote this particular book on the judiciary in Thailand, and when I mentioned earlier about the why, asking the question why institutions like the court in Thailand became so loyal and royal, to the monarchy institution, which again very interesting. But the judiciary is not alone in Thailand in showing out or showing off their love for the institution, for the royal institution. You can name other institutions in Thailand, right? I mean, one of the institutions is basically Minister of Foreign Affairs in Thailand too, right? I mean, people in FFA in Thailand, almost every one of them have to be royalists. This is a part of them being, being groomed to become diplomat. And that also reflect in, foreign policy, this and that too. Not just that, I mean, in the army, it's very obvious among the bureaucrats also, right? Another one thing that related to this issue is that in many professions in Thailand, to reach to the top, certain positions have to be approved or endorsed by the monarchy. For example, you want to be promoted to become full professor, then it has to be endorsed by the royal institution. So I could not imagine any professor in Thailand, would be so critical of, the monarchy and they would be really successful, in that career. So this kind of, sort of top down with the monarchy on top, controlling, other, arms and hands of the society has a lot to play. And again, this kind of thing we can link up to what discussion here that discussion today is that the new generation want to move on from that. They do not want this kind of, hierarchy, controlling and privileges.
Go ahead, David. You had a
Thanks,
question.
Emery. I'm Dave Timberman, unaffiliated. Thanks, Pavin, for your comments. So it's thinking about the results of the 2023 election. One, I would think there must be tens of millions of really pissed off Thais. And at the same time, I would assume it was something for that, the results were something of a wake-up call for the regime. I mean, it shows the dimensions of the dissatisfaction for the elite. So if that's the case, I would think that the elite should be, or if they were smart, would be developing strategies to bolster their legitimacy and their popularity, which could argue that, pulling the page from the old Thaksin manual, that in fact there would be some sort of new, elements of populism that would be introduced to actually win back, right, support, because clearly they've lost electoral support. So I'm just curious, is that in the cards? But then going back to all those millions of pissed off Thais, you really can envision there being a whole nother electoral cycle with the same rules in place, which will result in a thwarted electoral outcome? I mean, is that what we have to look forward to?
I don't think they're smart enough.
Well, that could be a good thing, right?
Yeah, good for me, good for us.
Yeah, right.
I don't think they're smart enough to think that, oh my God, the election this is a big signal. Yeah, they're sort of contesting our legitimacy, that we have to do something to get trust and love back from people. No, I don't think they're smart enough.
Yeah.
I mean, this will still rely on, bluntest tool, if they could use it, right? So yeah, I mean, even though they try to bring back Thaksin, hopefully maybe using the put an old spell Thaksin, it's not working. And going back to what I said about this current generation has little idea about the success of Thaksin. I mean, on the other day, I mean, I interviewed a lot of them, okay, and partly provoking them that, the universal healthcare in Thailand, such a great achievement of Thaksin, and something that we must not forget. You should be grateful, Thaksin. And then she said, why? Because they get it free in Sweden. Why we have to be grateful to politicians? We are the keep gone a step ahead. So that's why I mean they do not have that recollection of Thaksin heyday. So I think for them, I don't think they want to look. I don't think they want to discredit Thaksin. I don't think they want to. But this thing is just normal, right? And today Thaksin no longer propose something that they want. That's it. So it's just as simple as that. Yeah, that's why when they try to bring back Thaksin, to restore what trust and then what populism in some way is such a failure. What kind of populism that had really been taking off since the Srettha government? Nothing. They've been talking about digital wallet money. Yeah. But I think they started to get, but it's bits and pieces. Yeah, it's so scarce that not everyone getting it. And it's difficult. And it's being tied up with big conglomerate. Once again, the return going back to their own network. Right? So I mean it's not working. Then the daughter, the Prime Minister now talked about soft power, regardless of Joseph Nye, what he said. Yeah. This must have been another Joseph. So yeah, I mean it never worked. So what I'm saying that, I mean, if they really want to bring back, they have to understand what is the question. The question here is that what the kid wants, why the kid vote for. Movement Party because they want fundamental changes. Only that the regime would offer, if not the same or something better, in this thing called fundamental changes. They will not win back the constituency. I don't believe.
Okay, let's take a question back here, and then you did mention foreign policy, so I'm gonna get you to talk on that at some point, please.
Actually, my question was around foreign policy.
Oh, good, I don't have to be the only one asking.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Prawa. I am a student. I'm studying health policy. With the result of here too. Sorry. Hi, my name is Prawa. I am a master's student here studying health policy at NYU Wagner. My question is, I was following the news this week that Paethongtarn is not going to speak at the UNGA. So usually I was observing that if there are any newly elected or newly appointed PM for Thailand, this is the momentous opportunity for them to ensuring to the world around foreign policy and stuff. So I was wondering, what's your take on this decision and what would be the implication for the long term, the foreign policy and international reaction?
Well, you just broke the news. So,
And
yeah, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to see the situation because it might be too difficult for her. But this day, this speech, right? It's scripted. Yeah, obviously she could do it. So I can't imagine what is this? Once again, leadership or sense of confidence. I don't know. You're right. This could be a good opportunity for her, to tell the UN to sell whatever she want to sell. So I have no idea. So I'm sorry.
To the finger, the foreign minister was supposed to speak at the Asia Society tomorrow, and it's been canceled.
Apparently for health reasons.
It said for health reasons, but I didn't know that the PM didn't speak, so I don't know, something's going on.
Yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, very pleased to meet you. I want to ask about the military. The monarchy's always been supported by the army, institutionally been by the force behind monarchy's will. But there have been big changes. Just as there have been big changes in the monarchy described, there have also been big changes in the military too. Big shift from the 2006 to the 2014 coup, for example. What do you know, or what can you say about how changes within the military are likely to line up with what's going on there?
Of course, I think there's some changes, right? The relationship between Pavin and army, right, is one thing, and then you have to look at the relationship between the army and Vajrayana. I like to think that during the Pavin period, Pavin era, the monarchy, managed to stay above the military sort of network monarchy, right? With the monarchy on top of that, and then you have important institutions working toward the monarchy, including the army, and obviously Pavin is such a sort of formidable figure that even the army we have to listen to what the king has to say. So leadership during that period, it might start off with sort of becoming working leadership at the beginning, and then eventually the monarchy sort of stay above any other institution. I think this is quite different under Vajrayana. I think it's sort of coming down to sort of coming back to becoming a kind of working relationship, or maybe I would say interdependent relationship. Obviously the two need one another. Yeah, the king still need the army to back his throne. The army need the monarchy in order to justify its political ambition, something like that. And this there is another issue also that the king himself is also a military man, right? There is that connection too. So it's a different kind of connection because Pol is not really military man per se, but mind you, because the king of Thailand as a position also have this position of being the highest commander. I could say it wrong. Highest commander of the Royal Armed Force, something like that. Yeah. So yeah. But what we talk about what you're on being real military man. So yeah, I think right now leadership is very engaging. You could see that the king worked quite closely with certain people in the army. Yeah, handpicking the army chief and then recruiting, key figure to work with him within the inner circle in the palace. So yeah, I think at this point, I can see that relationship sort of continue. There's a lot of people sort of speculating on kind of conflict between military and army. I mean, it could happen in the future. I don't know, because it all will depend on what would be the future of the monarchy as well, right? Because we are coming to the deadlock, right? There one issue that we have not discussed yet is basically royal succession, right? But we are hitting, a deadlock. What come next after 10? Would there be 11? But what was there would be 10 or 11 or 10 then jump into a republic. Then where is the army, right? So yeah, I mean, I already heard that there's sort of, there has been sort of conflict, of the choices of the next successor, right? The army like to prefer the boy, the prince, yeah, simply because maybe it's easier to control. So from that kind of argument, you start to see that the military already foresee itself in that situation. If the military foresee that Tipagor might be easier to control, then you start to see a kind of role of the army, when that time comes. And we have another choice, the estranged son of the king who live in New York, now going back to Thailand, back and forth. That could be another choice. That might not be the choice that the army will endorse. But if it would be that choice, then what would the military do? Then I don't know. So again, it could change in a short period of time. But for now, I think it go sort of hand in hand because they basically share mutual interest.
Can I just ask the foreign policy question, and maybe we can get one more of yours in, which is, for the last decade since the 2014 military coup, you've really seen Thailand, which was once so renowned for its foreign policy, just really kind of declining in international stature, right? And there was hope under Srettha that at least with regard to Myanmar and a few other things, he didn't have the baggage of right as a military guy who supported minimum law. And if we look now with Thai and Thaksin, I mean, when Thaksin was in power, he really wanted to put Thailand on the map, right? So many initiatives with the AEC, et cetera. Where's Thai foreign policy going to go? Is there any hope for kind of a return to a more activist, proactive role in ASEAN, in regional institutions?
Is there one? For the record, I wrote the book on Thaksin foreign policy, so I know it well. Of what he did. Yeah. I mean, it's a great question. Thailand, I think, in post-Thaksin foreign policy, it just becomes so much involved in domestic politics, right? To the point that we basically lost the focus on what we should do, at the international level. if we have to do something, then it has to be something to do with justifying domestic regime. Right, yeah. So because of that, it's sort of you limit yourself in coming up with your new initiative. Thailand already said goodbye to ASEAN long time ago. Yeah, I mean saying goodbye, not I don't mean quit this. We can't quit. Saying goodbye meaning that, oh my God, you can even go as far back as during this one time when Thailand really sort of enshrine ASEAN, yeah, constructive engagement, this and that. But I think after the Democrat Party era, I think suddenly, the position of ASEAN in Thai foreign policy start to drop quite quickly. Thaksin, for one thing, Thaksin basically disregard ASEAN. Said, but this is just for red tape, slow progress, this and that. So after that, nobody in Thailand really take ASEAN seriously. Yeah, and another thing also, but this might not be unique to Thailand. Foreign policy has never been a sexy issue in Thai domestic politics. No other political party, would want to talk about foreign policy during the election campaign. Well, but with the exception of the Movement Party, right? I mean, again, I was quite impressed, even though what they said was quite limited. They don't talk a lot, but at least they said that if you gave me a chance, I would do something with Burma. So I think that is a good sort of good promise, yeah. So, but none of these people of other political party, take foreign policy seriously. That leaves us with dealing with foreign affairs on bilateral basis mostly. And when you talk about bilateral basis, on bilateral basis, we only look for a few countries, either United States at this point or China. And you're going back to the same kind of boring argument. Yeah, rivalry. I'm going to DC next. Yeah, I have to hear this rivalry in DC, trust me. Yeah, we can't get out of this. And Thailand seems to be happy to be trapped in rivalry, because to be trapped in rivalry, Thailand gained quite a lot from both. And that's how, I think Thailand policy survived under the current circumstance. Yeah.
All right, so maybe we will have the young journalist get her second question in, and then we'll wrap it up.
Can I have two questions? But the first question will be very short. Okay, so the first question is that you mentioned about the succession possibility in Thailand. My question is, how much do you think the king really cares for the succession?
Sorry,
How much the king, do you think the king actually cares about the succession?
okay, the king, and okay, how
Okay, and the second question is that you touched about this during your speech at the beginning of the hour. So I'm just curious about the ongoing conflicts between Pheu Thai and People's Party right now. It looks really irreconcilable. And what is very remarkable about that conflict is that it looks even stronger than the conflict between Pheu Thai and the conservative in the past. I'm just kind of curious, what has the progressive, the People Party done to Pheu Thai that they turn to hate the progressive so much? Yeah, I think there could be a lot of factors, apart from the different ideologies, since Pheu Thai are populist and People's Party are progressive, what factors do you think they contribute to the to such strong conflict between the two camps?
Okay, first question. That's also very interesting, because people started to ask me more about that question. Given that we suspect that there will be a kind of conflict of what would be, suitable choices. Yeah. Once the choice is made, the conflict will explode, right? Because the side that will not get picked will get upset. So I think maybe we might not know the choice too soon. So maybe there will be a long delay, right? Well, but under this reign, everything long delay anyway, including the signing of the same-sex marriage, law. But whether he is very different from his father, maybe not. Because Pavin also played the game of delay, right? Has he prepared anything to cope with the uncertain royal succession, knowing that the son was so unpopular? He did not do a thing. and he let it die with him. You think Washington would do it? I don't think so. I think perhaps maybe we might know toward the almost final day. Because as I said, there's no point for him to do. I mean, especially if he has a lot of military men supporting him, and these military men prefer a particular, candidate, something like that. So yeah, I mean, these people, they can be very self-centered. They do not look at the constitution, the institution, sort of, long term. So they just, yeah, something like that. So that's why I don't think he would care about that much, right? The second one, I don't think it should become an issue at all. Yeah, you should go back home and have a good sleep and forget about it. Because I mean, conflict among supporters of different political parties is just basically normal. You have to look at this country. Yeah, ติ่งส้ม นางแบบ no, you can't compare. Look at this country, right? So I mean, of course, when suddenly your hegemony being threatened, right? This is a way to defend it, and it could be nasty, but yeah, it's a game of politics. Yeah.
Do you think that there are conflicts in political level and party level as well? Because I think that the politicians from these two parties, they also clash in the parliament quite often as well.
But then again, it's happened everywhere.
Okay.
Right. But the reason, and this is the last word I say, the reason we see more and so sensationally social media. Because it happened 30 years ago. But we only read it through the pages of newspaper. And it was not sensational enough. Thank you so much.
All right, well, let me just say that somehow having Pavin end talk with the word sensational is just very apropos. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a great talk from Pavin. Please join me in
Lights are on.
Can I end it now? I'm gonna let you do that. All right, well, thank everybody for coming.